Ever since I woke up in this world 9 months ago and thought of the possibilities it could bring, one of the first builds I had planned was a village right here. It's why I built my first house here, and today we start with the first real house of my new Port Village. So in the last episode, we prepared this small little demo house over here and then planned out some of the rest of the housing over here. Now I've gone into a creator world and done some more proper planning, so I had a better idea of how this will all look as a finished product instead of just doing piece by piece and then something's not matching up nicely. But what we need to do right now is we need to move our starter house because this is not where it's going to go. It doesn't fit with the theme, it's way too primitive. Eventually I'll redo it, keeping the bare bones of it and upgrading it into a better house now that I'm much better at building in survival mode. So for now, I think we're going to grab this house and just shift it up there on top of the mountain for now for safekeeping. And then maybe in the future, it'll be moved to a proper place. I don't know where exactly. Maybe up on that hill is where it'll go, and it'll stand watching over our builds all in this area, because I've done a very kind of congested, it's all kind of local area of my builds where that's my starter base, all the villages, the museum, it's all within kind of throwing a stone. So there's plenty of stuff to see in just this area, so I think having that in a somewhat central area works well. So let's quickly disassemble this house and reassemble it back on top of that mountain. You know, rebuilding a house one for one is a lot easier than you'd think. Having all the blocks in your inventory, not having too much or too little, really saves you some time. And while we were building, someone decided to move in, and well, he lost one of his llamas, so I stole him, and I'm trying to keep him for the museum, so I named him, and hopefully that'll keep him from despawning since he's detached from the trader. And when this guy despawns, hopefully that guy stays and we can move him into the museum finally. Make some progress after a long time. But now that our starter house is out of the way and the plot of land is open and up for grabs for more of these houses, I think I built a little further into this area. I also need to remove all of this area, so I need to bring this all down. And I'm thinking I'm gonna take from like the bottom 3 or 4 blocks and just lower it. Bring it down to this level here. And then just try and connect it up best I can. So I'm gonna need a little bit of, I think this is dark oak. Let's check and see. Spruce wood, okay, that's even better. That's so much easier to grab. Plus, we're going to need a lot for this. So we're going to have to do a lot of time in our wood factory. But I need to excavate this and then lower all this into the ground. Because I want to keep this tree as the kind of centerpiece. The people of this village, they came by boat. They saw this huge tree. There was probably more trees around here before they landed. But they cut all the small ones down. But they kept this as a nice marker. So when they're coming by, they can see it and know that their village is close by. Because if we compare it to the height of the houses, it's what, like 4 houses tall? So 1, 2, 3, yeah, about 4 of their houses. Because this is about as tall as we're going to get. So 4 houses tall, that's a massive tree. So here is where we get into a lot of progress. Let's quickly drop that tree, get it into place. I'm going to have to remove all these markers, but this gave me a good idea of the spacing and everything. And then let's quickly do a nice long time lapse. It's going to be a long one because we're going to finish most of this village. I'm basically filling in from all the way here. So as you can see on this side of the tree, on this platform, all of this is going to be houses like this one. Eventually it'll crawl down here. Our spawn is somewhere over here. It's like within a 10 by 10 block radius of your spawn point. So it's like this area. So I need to make a big open area for that. We want more houses on this side. Eventually a path will make its way up to this house. Maybe even up to our starter house eventually when we build that. And then here we'll also maybe do some houses. We're going to need to figure out what to fill in all this empty space with because I made it a lot larger than I probably should have. Because now I've got to use a lot of little builds to fill in the gaps so it doesn't look so barren. So let's get to a nice time lapse of finishing all of this village. It's going to be a long one, so wish me luck. And let's go. And there we go. That is all of the buildings, for this section at least, all built up. And interiors are kinda done. Let me show you what I mean. If we make our way into this little tunnel here, I got a couple extra doors. And if we head into one of these, you can kind of see the interiors are starting to shape up. I've done interior walls, so it's a little bit smoother. And we have floors for the second floor. So it's kind of done with an open concept of the roof if I want to make like a vaulted ceiling or have an attic as well, because I do have these windows, but I might just remove these bits here and just let it use it for a bit of sunshine, get a little bit of light in the room. Right now there are way too many windows though. I think I need to replace a couple of these with the the shelves instead, block them up. It gives a little less windows because I mean every single one is a window. And I think if you look at this, I think that's too many windows for the interior of a build. So I think we're going to go and replace a couple of them with the shelves instead. It boards them up, but it creates kind of a wall, but it also gives the nice depth that the kind of glass panes also do. Now, since I used Lightmatica for this build, there's a helpful thing I can do because I probably missed a couple of blocks. I found a couple after ending the time lapse, but oh, here's one right here. But what I can do is with Lightmatica, I can use this verification function and it'll tell me everything that is wrong with this build. Currently these ones aren't very good because it also checks like way down there, places that I haven't built yet, but let's go back to that. So if we go down and I want to find the missing ones, so missing blocks. So we're missing some stuff from builds we haven't gone through yet, but if we go through here, there should be ones like I'm missing this chain here. There's probably a couple other chains because it was hard to right click these all the time. So I'm gonna have to go around, fix those last little bits, but the whole thing is pretty much done. Now, usually that's where I would end the episode. We've done a lot of progress, got lots of things in, but this is one right before we're doing a world tour next episode, episode 50 of this series. So I want to get a lot done so the kind of world tour is a lot more impressive. So we're also going to work down here on the kind of dock working area. And I want to include a couple more details, fill it out a little bit. I did not capture that guy on my own. He must have gotten into a spare boat I left laying around. But I want to add a lot more detail, fill this whole thing in. There'll still be more later on to work on, but we want to get just so it's not so flat and boring out here. Now, there are some more changes that need to be done, like this cobblestone needs to be swapped out for the wall version, so I can get a little bit more detail. That does mean I'm going to have to put a wall here, here, and under this block so that it connects properly, which will take a lot more cobblestone, but I mean, the factory provides, and it's just going to be a pain to take it all down. I'll need to re-put down my beacon. I don't know where my beacon block actually is. Did I not pick that up when I was removing it from... Uh-oh. I think I just lost a beacon. That's not good. That's my spare beacon, I think. But when I removed it from underneath this building, I grabbed all the iron. Oh, okay, give me a second. I'm going to go look for that. Alright, I checked all my chests. It's nowhere to be found, unless it's that one. I don't think it is in my ender chest, because it was right down here. Yeah. Ooh, more chests down there. Not here either. That's a shame. Alright, enough about losing all that stuff. I can get another one quite easily with my Wither Skeleton farm. But some other things I did, I added this kind of detailing with these jungle bits with the... I wish the jungle was closer to this one for the shelving, but this was the closest you can kind of get to this kind of mud texture, and it creates a little bit more of a circular pattern, which adds a lot more detail instead of the plain flat bits. So I like that. We got these kind of crenellations I was using as like a barrier so you don't fall off, and I'm going to do the same for down here when I eventually get all that done. Now, the plan for this area, I want another ship here, and I want a crane somewhere around here that kind of, the ship, maybe not this big of a ship because I don't know if it's going to fit, but the crane picks up all the stuff and loads it onto maybe carts here that get shipped off through the village, maybe get shipped somewhere else, I don't know. Just kind of a crane to pick up big packages and crates and stuff. Maybe over here we could have a little bit of a marketplace where all the imports, they kind of have like a fish market and things like that. And obviously just piles of barrels and chests and crates and all that kind of stuff just to fill in the area. And then I'll probably need some more ideas, so leave them down in the comments if you have good ideas for filling in this kind of area. Now, I have some space down over here, as well in these areas here, that we need to kind of fill up. I don't know, here's kind of a thinner area, so we might just be able to fit like maybe one tiny building and that'll fill it up. But I think maybe something big here, like maybe a restaurant or something overlooking the water might be a good idea. So let me know if you think that's a good idea, or if I should go more of the kind of industrial shopping area and leave these for shops. Now, like I said, all of these builds are still empty and they need things inside them, so I need some ideas from you guys of what these kind of shops or houses could be. I mean, some of them could just be living places for villagers that I'll eventually bring over here and populate the area. I first need to make sure it's all safe and no mobs can get in. Currently, the whole thing's spawn-proof. As you can see, I've used a lot of this glow lichen, so the roofs are spawn-proof. But down here is spawn-proofed. It's more of just on these mountains. I need to make sure a horde of zombies isn't going to come down and just wipe out my village. Because I don't really want iron golems. I'm probably going to get some spawning anyways, but I want it to be more of a realistic village, not one with giant hulking monsters walking around. So if you've got some good ideas for different shops, like a baker or, I don't know, tailor, blacksmith, I don't know what would go in this village. Let me know down in the comments what you think might fit this village and what would be a good fit for some of these builds. Because basically all of them, you start with the bottom floor, like this one. I left a hole there for now. And then I'm going to put like either a staircase, maybe a ladder up the wall, and then it'll be onto the second floor with a possible third floor if you need it. But for now, it'll just be the 2 floors. Maybe they live on the second floor, work on the first floor, something like that. But enough planning of the building, let's actually get some more build done, because today is the episode of progress. So I think what we're going to do next is down here, we're going to build a nice crane and a nice ship. Smaller than this, probably like half the size, like maybe like cut there, and then this bit here, it'll be much smaller, fit in here nicely. I think I want it to go that way. We can always have more ships throughout this area. We'll also need to do all the underwater bits, all the training like I did for that episode where I did the train over there. I'll need to continue and bring all this terrain, but that's a problem for a much further date in the future. So now it's time to get started with the build. Thankfully, it's a lot less materials than this entire village took, so it won't take as much prep time. So let's get a nice little boat built in here, and then a crane to take all the supplies off of it. And there we are, another ship here, all kind of parked up. I don't really have anything to anchor it currently. I might want to use one of those like chicken wires where you put a chicken on a lead and then do like 2 of them, and then it can like attach something like a rope or an anchor or something. We might play around with something like that. Plus we got our cool crane here. Let's get a better shot of it. Just a small little thing because it's kind of for smaller ships, I guess. The bigger ships, they'll probably just wheel everything down the big plank. This one, they don't have as much strength to do so, and it's also much lower, so it wouldn't be able to, like, park properly, maybe? I don't know. Just making stuff up as I go. And then we've got a couple... Ooh, I missed one barrel there, just to fill in the gap on this side. So we got a couple piles of barrels and chests here. Let's actually just go over in person. And then we have... Basically, I just copied what I got there and put 2 more of them down, kind of rotated, made them a little bit different. And then we have our cart here. So it's a little, just like a little buggy wagon thing. And I'll grab a couple of, let's see, I got 2 leads. So I need to find a couple of horses. I'll lead them up to this here and they can chill around. This stuff is just my leftover material, so this can be removed quite easily. I'll need to shift into another shulker monster somewhere else, somewhere out of the way and not kind of here. Ooh, is my llama still here? Okay, so I guess if you name and put it on a lead, that doesn't keep it from despawning. I thought if you like I read somewhere, if you disconnect it from the wandering trader before he drinks his invisibility and despawns, then it'll stay, but maybe that's an older version or something? I don't know. We'll have to figure that out another time. But like I mentioned earlier, we've got this kind of fake railing. Obviously, anyone can walk over and fall into the ocean here, but it's more just for looks, just so it's like not practical. And then we lit up with a bunch of lanterns instead of torches. Makes it look a little bit nicer. These ones will be removed eventually once there's maybe something here that can make it look a bit more natural. For now, it's just keeping the spawn rates out of here. I think underneath is also safe, so we're actually very safe from any mob spawns. Hello, my friend. And everything's looking pretty good. Now, all that's left is on this side. We got to do some more stuff. I planned some marketplaces, but they just look too weird. I need to work a bit more, maybe do some more research on that kind of stuff. And then, obviously, I need to remove these guys. They've done their job, temporary kind of placements just to see all the different bits. Got lots of dirt from clearing out this area, and we need to do more terraforming to smooth everything out, kind of work it all into the terrain here. Now, this build has been like 8 months in the planning, basically ever since I started this world, and I loaded in down there, and well, actually, it was when I finally got into the sky and saw the just terrain in this area, this big open bay where I'd be able to kind of put ships and stuff. I thought a port village would work perfectly. And that's kind of the plan I had with when I built my first house back there. But obviously the style changes and things need to be adapted. I've gotten much better at building, as you can probably tell if you compare that to that, and then to all these guys that kind of mesh together and look really cool. Now there's plenty more to do, but I'm thinking this is somewhere where we're going to leave today's episode. Now again, I do want some of your ideas for what goes into these shops, because a nice thing I can do is I can just pick any of these walls. Now that's the door to go inside. I can put it basically in any single one of these little alcoves. It works better on the odd ones, but if I have an even one, I could do 2 doors. I've been doing a lot of them in these kind of alleyways because I want everything to be kind of tucked away. Built a nice little kind of shop. I was thinking this might be a nice square that like people can gather. Little shops, nothing like the big shops down there. I mean, if we find over here, I think it's in here, yeah. We have this secret tunnel with 2 access sides. I guess this one actually goes straight through to the original alleyway we did in the last episode. I need to do more of this mossing in like these kind of darker areas, maybe like kind of in the corners, make like kind of simulate the moisture of like a dark, damp area. Ooh, looks like we missed another wall there. I'm gonna have to go through it. The problem is with the schematic I made, I did a lot with like the water down there when I planned out the ship and stuff. So a lot of the missing blocks are down there because like the kelp and stuff gets in the way. So I'm gonna have to very slowly go through the verifier. If you want to learn how to do that kind of stuff, I made a little bit of a mini series on the Litematica mod. You can check that out and learn how to be better at the mod itself and understand all the kind of buttons and everything that goes along. So maybe give that a shot and take a look at that. So to recap what's going to come next into this area, we need to fill this area with a nice marketplace. I think I might use this entire area for marketplace, nice and big, kind of like a fish shop and all that stuff. And then maybe a cool restaurant down here by the water. I need to fix up these so they're walls, not the solid blocks, as well as finish off this side. I just thought, since I'm going to be replacing it with walls, might as well do it all in one go. We have to finish off all the terrain, fix everything up, smooth it all, work on the path, because I don't want it all to be just this packed, or I guess the packed mud I think this is. I want to switch in, I think brown mushroom would work, and maybe one of the dirts. Obviously not like the grass dirt, maybe like the coarse or the rooted dirt might work well with the kind of brownish kind of palette we have. But I think that's where we're going to leave today's episode. We made so much progress. That was like just the houses itself probably took over 2 hours of building. And that was after I gathered all the resources from either my farms or down in those mines, getting that tough. Ooh, if you guys saw from that little time lapse earlier, I ran into one of those boss zombies and it was in full armor. So he had like 10 times the health plus armor, plus he was spawning mobs constantly. Got kind of overwhelmed, but that was an interesting addition that was kind of recent in the Minecraft updates. But enough about that. That's where we're going to leave today's episode. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe for more episodes coming soon, because the next episode is going to be the world tour. So look forward to that. Until next time.